Throughout history, there have been numerous mysteries that have left the investigators speechless, experts in utter confusion, and the world enthralled. From unexplained disappearances to baffling deaths, these remain one of the most intriguing and puzzling unsolved cases ever recorded. Welcome to Fact Frenzy, and today, we're diving deep into the most mysterious unsolved cases in history that continue to haunt our collective imagination. Our first mystery takes us back to the late 16th century, to the shores of Roanoke Island, where one of the most famous disappearances in history occurred. In 1587, John White founded a colony of 115 English settlers on Roanoke Island in what is modern-day North Carolina. Shortly after establishing the colony, White returned to England to gather more supplies, leaving behind his wife, daughter, and granddaughter. But when 3 years later White returned, the entire colony had disappeared without a trace. All that was left were the letters CRO engraved on a tree and the word Croatoan on a post. What happened next to the Roanoke settlers has remained a mystery, and they are considered one of America's biggest mysteries. Some theories suggest they were assimilated into nearby Native American tribes, while others believe they met with a more sinister fate. In its existence, the lost colony of Roanoke has, for what has seemed like an eternity, been shrouded in a mystery that remains to be solved today. Fast forward to the 20th century, where we'll look at one of the most infamous and gruesome unsolved murders in American history, that of the Black Dahlia. In January 1947, a report was made about the corpse of a 22-year-old girl by the name of Elizabeth Short. Her body was found in a vacant lot in Los Angeles, California, where she had been mutilated and bisected at the waist, thus acquiring the media nickname of the Black Dahlia, due to her dark hair and alleged preference for black clothing. To date, the case has stayed unsolved despite intense investigation and numerous suspects. The murder of the Black Dahlia remains emblematic of the underbelly of Hollywood. It has become a huge source of books, movies, and theories. Some believe the killer was a surgeon or someone with medical knowledge, while others suggest a link to organized crime. More than 70 years later, the identity of the Black Dahlia's killer remains a chilling enigma. Our next mystery takes us to the frigid Ural Mountains of Russia, where in 1959, 9 experienced hikers met a mysterious and horrifying end in what is now known as the Dyatlov Pass incident. Led by Igor Dyatlov, the group went on a trek at the end of January. Something went badly wrong, as it turned out. When the rescuers found their campsite weeks later, they found hikers' tents slashed open from the inside, and the bodies were scattered across the mountainside. What is mysterious are the circumstances that led to these deaths. Some of the hikers were found in their underwear, others had severe injuries including skull fractures and chest trauma, yet there was no physical struggle. One of the hikers was missing her tongue. The official cause of death was hypothermia, but the inexplicable details have provoked numerous theories, ranging from an avalanche to a secret military experiment and even involvement of extraterrestrials. The Dyatlov Pass incident is one of the most bizarre and unsettling mysteries in all of Russia. In the late 1960s and early 1970s, the San Francisco Bay Area was terrorized by a serial killer who called himself the Zodiac. The Zodiac Killer took credit for at least 5 murders, but, in his letters and ciphers that teased the police, hinted there were more than that. These letters, sent to newspapers, were actually an attempt to interest them in publishing himself and the messages full of symbols with hints. No matter the huge manhunt and over dozens of suspects, he managed to avoid getting caught, and his identity turns out to be one of the biggest mysteries in the world criminal history. The case has given birth to countless theories and investigations, some of which are so-called solved by amateur sleuths who claim they have broken the Zodiac's ciphers, but the truth stays away from reach. The Zodiac Killer's chilling games with the police and media have cemented his place as one of the most notorious and enigmatic criminals of all time. In 2014, the world watched in shock as Malaysia Airlines flight MH370 vanished without a trace. The flight was from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing, and it disappeared from the radar screens 1 hour after its takeoff. On board were 239 passengers and crew members. Despite one of the broadest aviation searches, which is going to mark history, there are few pieces of the aircraft found, not really implying where exactly it has crashed. The disappearance of MH370 has given rise to dozens of theories, ranging from mechanical failure and pilot suicide to more outlandish allegations of alien abduction or government cover-up. Despite years of investigation, the case of the aircraft and its 239 passengers is one of the most puzzling aviation enigmas in the world. Our next mystery takes us aboard the high seas into the legend of the Mary Celeste, a ghost ship etched in maritime lore. Mary Celeste was a seaworthy ship with its cargo on board, fully packed, found afloat in the Atlantic Ocean in December 1872 without its crew. The lifeboat was missing and the crew's personal belongings were left on board with their things. And here the mystery still lingers to this very day, in spite of the great number of investigations. Among the theories are that they abandoned the ship because of fear that there would be an explosion on board, or that there was piracy, mutiny, and, worst of all, paranormal beings. The story of Mary Celeste during the past century has been legendary to writers and historians since the destiny of its crew was so uncertain. By 1937, one of the most famous aviators alive began a trek that would go on to capture headlines around the world. Amelia Earhart left Miami with designs on becoming the first woman to fly around the world. But on the last leg of the trip, over the Pacific Ocean, Amelia Earhart and her navigator Fred Noonan went missing. Despite a frantic search, there was no trace of Earhart, Noonan, or their airplane. Amelia Earhart's vanishing is one of the most prominent disappearances in aviation history. The theories in this aspect span from the crash at sea to the hypothesis of capture by the Japanese military. Yet some hold on to it that she survived and indeed lived incognito, though there are no leads pointing to any of these notions with valid proof. Earhart's disappearance continues to inspire speculation and intrigue as the world wonders what really happened to one of history's greatest pioneers. Our final mystery is perhaps one of the most chilling unsolved murders in history. The house on the remote farmstead in Germany, Hinterkaifeck, was brutally murdered in 1922, with a mattock. The murdered six included a husband, wife, their daughter, her two children, and the family maid. The case was already weird enough with the events leading up to the murders, footprints leading up to the house but none leaving, mysterious noises, and even the finding of a newspaper that no one in the family had bought. Nothing more, even with numerous suspects. A thorough investigation, the case would remain unsolved. The murders on the Hinterkaifeck farm have been featured in many books and television documentaries, and the lack of an answer to the question who did it is certainly one reason why the crime generates so much interest. These are just a few of the most mysterious unsolved cases in history. Cases that continue to captivate our imagination and fuel our curiosity. That they will ever be fully solved, we'll probably never know, but at least these are the kind of cases that do remind us how complex our own past really is. Thank you for watching Fact Frenzy. If you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so that you don't miss another interesting story. Let us know in the comments which mystery you find most intriguing and what you think really happened. Until next time, stay curious.